All right, we're gonna get started. I did the do now in my other classes, but it was kind of pointless. It really wasn't helpful for this lesson at all. So we're going to, probably should have left that part off camera. Anyway, we're gonna go right into the examples. And just like I said, we're gonna get through more than half of it today, and we will finish it tomorrow, which will have a separate video, okay? So, there's a lot going on here. We can already see that there's a lot of explanation, there's some equations going on. We will take it step by step. The first two are going to be quite easy. The third example is gonna seem like, whoa, this just got hard. And we will keep it nice and slow, and then we'll finish it tomorrow. The Chromebooks closed. If anybody is humming, can you please stop? There's no noise. Okay. So this is the essential question, and I think that some of us might be able to answer this before we even get started. Let's read it together. Let's read it together. What information does the slope-intercept form of a linear equation reveal about a line? That's a mouthful, right? What does the slope-intercept form of a linear equation reveal? What does reveal mean?
Like
show or expose about a line. Okay, can anybody tell me what the equation is for just that generic slope-intercept form with no actual values? Just go ahead, Brianna.
Y equals mx plus b.
Perfect. Y equals mx plus b. If I'm writing, you're writing.
What is and I know m is.
Yeah, I'm going over that.
Wait, yes.
Yeah, I'm going over it. So first, I'm gonna say that m is the slope, which of course it makes total sense that they would use the letter m for the word slope, right? Does it make total sense? Because it begins with m, or there's a m inside the word slope somewhere? No, I don't know. I'm sure there's some reason for it. I think I looked it up last year, and I don't remember, and haven't had time to revisit that Google search. But maybe if anybody wants to look it up tonight, and first one to email me why, not now, but after school. I will not accept it until after school hours is over. First one to email me why slope is called m, if there is actually a reason. I'm going to Jolly Rancher in class tomorrow.
Or
Can it be M&M's?
Shh.
is it because?
Okay, and once again, now we have our y-intercept.
Wait. Oh.
If anybody wants to research why that's called b, I would love to know. The b is the y-intercept, the m is the slope. Now, here's a candy question, okay? The candy question is, tell me what x and y represent. Emily,
They represent the coordinates.
the coordinates of what? Yeah,
The axis.
of the, so do they represent like all of the coordinates?
No,
Or-
just-
Bup, 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 bup. This is her candy question.
They represent like
Any coordinate on the,
x-axis.
no, you're so close. I'm gonna give you a half of a Jolly Rancher, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna give you some candy just for that. Bo,
Basically, it's the numbers that are on like the x and y axis line.
yes, it's any coordinate pair on the line. Very good. I think that that's what you meant to say. Sometimes it's hard to put them into words. So I appreciate the co-working. I don't know. Collaborating. I knew it was a co-word. Okay. I appreciate the collaboration. Okay. So yes, x and y simply represent any coordinate pair. I do this because that's what coordinate pairs look like, right? Coordinate pair, any coordinate pair, Faith, if you could pay attention, that would be amazing. Any coordinate pair on that line. So now we have identified what everything means, and we can use it. So our first question is going to give us a line in slope-intercept form. I'm going to write it right here so we can identify what is being given to us. I'm gonna write it right underneath here. Y equals 4 over 5 times x plus 2. What is 4 over 5?
4/5.
Right, the slope, very good. What's 2?
Y-intercept.
Good, is it positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive, good, that's very important. Is our slope positive or negative?
Positive.
Good, so when you are graphing a line just from an equation, now this drawing, that's part of the answer. They're not going to give you that. If they just give you the equation, you're going to examine it. They don't give you any coordinate points. You can't plot points using x and y, right? But this guy over here and this guy over here are the keys to unlocking what that line is going to look like on your coordinate plane. I want to make sure that everybody's taking notes on this and not doodling or writing notes to each other, okay? We're good? Oh, just making sure. Just a yes ma'am is good. Nobody's in trouble, right? Right? Yes ma'am, right? Yeah, exactly. All right, so we have our slope and our y-intercept. So we can, I'm not even going to worry about that graph over here. I'm going to do it on my fancy whiteboard coordinate plane. Is that important right now or no? Just the cutting and stuff? Okay. I just saw a lot of cutting back there. Okay. So my coordinate plane here, I've got my x and my y axes, and I'm going to start plotting my line. Which one of these is my good starting place?
2.
4
Well, use the correct terms, yeah.
Start with the y-intercept.
Yes,
and
start-
then
hold on.
go over.
Yeah, you're right. Start with your y-intercept. Let's just start there. So step 1 is plot your y-intercept. I'll write it over here. Step 1, plot y-intercept. And you can use abbreviations, that's fine. Now, my y-intercept just says 2. How do I plot a 2? Isn't it supposed to be a coordinate pair?
No.
It is, but it's okay that it's not, and we'll talk
Because
about
it's
why.
on the- it's-
Angelina,
Every single number has a 100.
what?
Every single number has a 100.
Every single number is a 100.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
a fraction.
that's not quite what I meant though, Bo.
Basically, since it's just by itself, you would put a 0 next to it because it's right on the y line. So
Yes. Gosh, you need to make a dentist appointment because you're eating too much candy. All right. So what Bo is saying that even though you're only given 2, since the 2 is on your y-axis because the 2, positive 2, is where your line is going to cross through or intercept your y-axis. He said technically your coordinate pair for your y-intercept is 0, 2, because x has to be 0 if it's on the y-axis, no matter what your y-intercept is. If it's 96, if it's negative 14.123, your x value is 0 for your y-intercept coordinate pair. So you guys get that? So we have a point that's 0, 2, but they don't need to show us the 0, 2 here because it's obvious, right? We know that every time we have a y-intercept, the x coordinate is 0. Does everybody understand that?
yes.
Okay, good. All right, now that we have our first point here, Brianna, you wanted to keep going. What should we do next?
So first we plot the y-intercept.
Good, got it.
And then we take the rise over run.
Good, slope, yep.
4/5
Mhm.
and plot that out to find our line.
Right, our next point, right? Because we really only need 2 points to create a line, right? So we need to make sure our second point is accurate. We can, once we have our y-intercept, we can use our slope. And she said something very important. She said,
Rise
rise.
over 1.
Stop trying to get more candy, okay?
Nope.
Okay,
I love candy.
okay. So she said we have to look at the rise over run. Now she's using synonyms for slope. I love it. So the 4 is our rise, and the 5 is our run. The rise is how much it's going up or
Down.
down. So it's a rise, but if it's a negative, then it would be kind of like a fall. right?
And the run.
The run is how much it's going this way on the x-axis, or how much it's going this way on the x-axis. And the rise is like climbing the ladder up the Y,
And the run is running
or
across.
sliding down the those
Fireman.
poles like the fireman pole. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Why am I out of breath? Okay. So anyway, we're gonna. It's positive, right? So that's an easy
So
one,
you go
right?
up.
So you rise forward and you run towards positive. So we're gonna rise up. 1, 2. Don't worry about that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're gonna run 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And right at that spot, we're gonna plot our second point. And when you have 2 points, you've got a line.
Is there going to be like those that the graph online for the homework because
Yes, you can actually you can graph them digitally.
okay.
Yeah, and it gives you directions and everything like that. Okay, yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Can you what?
Can I try the next question?
Yes, but I actually want everybody to, whoops, I have it frozen, hold on. I want everybody to try this one on their own. Oh, I didn't write my second step. After we plotted our y-intercept, what did we do?
Determine
We use our,
Rise over run.
the slope, good, use slope, and you can say rise over run,
to plot the second point.
to plot second point, yes, thank you.
Is there
All right,
a
so
third
those
step?
are our steps that you're gonna follow for this one. I have graph paper if you need it.
Can I have graph
Oh, can I
paper?
And remember to put it in y equals mx plus b form. And very quietly, raise your hand if you need graph paper.
Wait,
I'm gonna ask you to take it and pass it to the girls over there. And then,
take one and pass it down.
or you do it actually.
I'm way ahead of you.
Oh, okay. So we are silent. Doesn't matter what side? No. So we are silently graphing this line. What's a little more challenging about this line?
The negative has negative.
What's negative?
No.
The slope. So just the slope is negative?
No, and the wire. The rise
And
over
the
run.
y-intercept, right? So before we had, excuse me, boys with the glue. So first we had, the other example had a positive slope and a positive y-intercept. This is tricky because you're dealing with a negative slope and a negative y-intercept, so be very careful, okay?
You have like already numbers graph paper.
No, you can figure it out, the
Oh,
numbers
do
are
you
not
have
that
do
big.
you have a ruler?
Yeah, I can give you a ruler.
Great.
Anybody want a ruler?
Yes,
Anything right here?
pretty please.
After you're done with this.
Thank you.
I'll come and check in just a second. Just gonna get some of this. After you're done, can you pass the big? You need a ruler? Yes. Angelina, would you be able to help me? Thank you so much. That looks great. That looks awesome.
Is this correct?
You raise his hand first. Awesome. Yeah. So your y-intercept is correct, but your negative slope is tripping you up. So I'm gonna give everybody a hint, because if that's happening to you, it's happening to somebody else.
wait.
Oh, you figured it out?
I know it's. Can I explain it?
Sure.
Okay, so if it's a negative 3 and a negative 4, you have to go
It's
down.
no. It's not a -3 and a
Or
negative 4.
negative 3, 4. So what you do is you go down 3 and you go left 4.
Oh.
No.
You go up.
No. So let's talk about what a -3/4 really means. A -3/4 means that either the numerator or the denominator is negative, right? If the whole thing is negative, right, if a division
Maybe a positive.
answer is negative, that means either the numerator or denominator is negative. So you could say -3 over +4, or you could say 3 over -4. Do you guys see how all of these mean the exact same thing?
Yes.
That gives you a little bit of freedom when you are plotting your point according to the slope. So that means if you have your point here, you could say, well, it's down 3, right? And over to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Or you could take your point and go, and you'd probably be doing this on the coordinate plane, or you could say, well, it's also a +3, so we could rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and go to the left 4. Negative means to the left. On negative run means to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Either one works.
So
right?
either one works, they all form the same line. So when you have a negative slope, it is up to you based on how much room you have, right? Because sometimes if you're starting with a super low y-intercept, like -10, and then you have a negative slope, it's like, it's like you're gonna run out of room. So you might wanna do it the opposite way and say, well, I'll go up 3 and then back 4. Do you guys agree that all is correct?
I'm sure.
You are? Okay, I'll do it on my coordinate.
Okay, wait, so you go down, so you go
Because remember,
down
if you
3,
put
left
the
4.
border of it, then you have to go up.
Yeah, you can find it the opposite way.
So you go up 3, left 4.
Let's try it. What's my y-intercept here?
5.
-5, so it's over here, right? So it's on the y-axis, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's my point, it is 0, -5, right? On the y-intercept?
No, you're supposed to go down 3.
So
Okay, so just look at it.
you can go down 3 and over 4, that's correct.
Yeah, because if you hop like 3.
No.
hop
This
4.
is the rise. So if the rise is negative, you have to go down 3. And then the 4 would be to the right 4. But if you want to interpret your negative as a +3, you can go up 3, but then your run has to be negative and go in this direction. So if my point is all the way down here, technically I still, you're talking, technically I still have enough room to do it this way. And that's fine, it doesn't matter. I still have enough room, I could go down 3 and over 4. Watch. Down 1, 2, 3, and over 4 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Why do you start at the?
You have to start at the y-intercept. Remember, that's step 1. Step 1 is the y-intercept. Step 2 is plotting your next point using your slope, okay? Now, could I draw a line with these 2 points? Yes, but I'll also show you that on this same line, we could use this version of the slope. I'm sorry that you guys are getting confused that there are a couple of different versions available to you, but I'm just letting you know that they are available to you. I'm not saying that you have to use all of them. I'm saying that they all
Oh, so we
are
can go
correct.
So you go up
this
3.
side and then down.
Yeah, as long as, if the slope is negative, you have to assign only one of your numbers to be the negative
So
one.
we go up
The other
3.
one has to be positive. So for this one, I could say, hey, I don't like going this low, because what if I wanted to draw another one? I couldn't. I couldn't go down 3 and over 4 again, I just don't have enough space. So if I wanted to just plot another point just to be safe, I would go up 3, right? +3, go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'd have to go to the left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do all of these points fall on the same line? Yes.
So you go up 3, left 4. Got it.
Or down 3 to the right 4.
It's practically the same thing.
It's exactly the same thing.
Because they all fall.
Is one of those erased in my, okay, yeah, that looks good. All right, ready for the next example?
No.
Yes. Yes. Well, we don't know what it is yet. But I'll call on you, when I ask a question, I will look for your hand, okay?
You like Minecraft? It's like Minecraft.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Okay,
I have a big
what I would suggest is if you're having trouble with the negative slopes, just practice going in both directions and you'll see your line. If they're all falling on the same line, then you're doing it correctly. If they're kind of making like a connect to the dots situation, like when you used to do those when you were a kid, and you're making like a star or a triangle, then you're doing something wrong, right?
Or there is a method.
Are you guys focusing on these notes or other things? Not other things, these notes, okay? So example 2, it's gonna give you the opposite. Instead of giving you the equation of the line, and then you get to draw the line,
What can make the equation?
it's going to draw a line for you, and then say, what's the equation?
But that's algebra.
That's okay.
Not the equation.
It's just doing the exact same thing, but backwards, okay? Guess what? When you get it this way, you get a picture. It's really easy. So remember before we plotted the y-intercept? Now we're going to identify the y-intercept. Because if it's giving us a line on a coordinate plane and it wants an equation in slope-intercept form, then we have to know what our y-intercept is, right? And if they draw it for us, can't we just go to the y-axis and find the point on it?
Yup, pretty much.
Yeah, there's only gonna be one point on the y-axis that the line goes through, right? Who? What?
Negative? No, it's not negative.
I'm looking for the point on the line
So we just fill in the
where
blanks.
the y, fill in what blanks?
Like with the numbers.
I have the equation.
Yes, yeah, we're gonna fill in yeah, okay. All right, pay attention. So guys, we're looking for the point that on the y-axis that the line goes through, or goes through this way, okay? This is where it intersects, so our y-intercept is?
1.
Positive 1. Good. So good. We found one thing, right? Y equals mx plus 1. We're getting there. Now, before we were using the slope to plot the second point, here we're going to use the y-intercept and count over to the next point. From y-intercept, count the rise over run to the next point. Right? So do you see how it's like kind of the same directions, but it's like backwards? So the first one is we first have to just identify the y-intercept just by looking at the graph. Pay attention over there. Then the second step that we're about to do now is we start at the y-intercept now, and then we count the rise over the run to the next point. Well, let's take a look. Are we gonna go up or down?
Down.
Uh-oh, down means
Negative.
negative. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So our rise is -3. And then we go to the next, to the point, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive, because we're going to the right, we're going towards positive numbers. It's okay, the entire slope is going to be negative, but the run is positive, right? Okay, so if we have -3/4, and I want to put that in my slope here, how do I write it?
It's y equals negative.
Should I write -3/4, or should I write -3/4?
Negative 3/4 because it's only the negative, because it's only the negative.
Yes.
You can always tell the line is negative or the slope is negative because it goes downwards.
Yeah, because it's downward, it's like a ski hill, right? So I wanna, were you gonna comment on that? Yes, go ahead. Nice and loud for me.
It's gonna be negative, then 3 points, because either one can be negative.
Exactly, so Grayson, pay attention to this. If only one of them is negative, that means the whole thing is negative. So this is the standard way we would write a negative slope. When we write a negative slope, we usually don't only assign the negative to one of the numbers, even though it's correct. This is the slope, it's correct. But when we write it in the slope-intercept form, we put the negative on the outside of the fraction to show that if one of the values is negative, the whole thing is negative. Because negative divided by a positive is negative. And a positive divided by a negative is negative, right? Those are our integer rules for division. So that's all I wanted to say. If you were to write it as -3/4, I wouldn't be like, that's wrong. I would just say, that's correct. But when we write it, we just show that the whole slope is negative. We're showing that the line goes downward, just like Brianna said. Okay? So that's it. Ready for the next example?
Yes.
Wait, hold on. I need to write something.
Just like,
Remember, make sure you get those written instructions over there. 208, and I need to get through one more example. Oh wait, no, you guys gotta do it, try it.
Hey.
All right, you guys gotta try it on your own. I will leave my hints over here. So you can, it's just 2 steps. You can do this. Are you ready?
No, I thought you were gonna say, I'm just gonna leave my things over here.
No, my little hints over here.
I'm done.
got it.
Let me.
I just have to write it down when I got it.
Okay, so this is totally correct. Just don't forget something that's very important about something that's important. Yeah. The X gets very excited. Very good.
Is it on the third one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it depends on which axis it's on. Unfortunately, I
Can I
cannot.
boost it up and stand there for a second?
Yeah, you guys can go. Here, I can also, here, I can do this for you guys. This point is 0,
Got it.
-2. This point is 3, 0, if that helps, okay? This point is 0, -2, this point is 3, 0. Is that too, did I ruin it?
Yeah.
With the arrows?
Kind of.
Okay, no more arrows.
Thank you.
All right.
There is this one.
That's perfect.
So do we do 3 over 0?
No.
It's not 3 over 0, it's 2 comma 0. They just wanted to know what those points were.
Stop singing Christmas songs. It's not even Thanksgiving.
Yep, no Christmas songs for last week.
Season says July.
Got it?
I'm so.
Yep, that's good. My turn. My turn.
It's her turn, everyone.
Thank you. So, let's fill in the blanks. Y equals mx plus b. What's the first variable we fill in? The b, so what is it? -2. If anybody said 2, you better check your work. This is -2 on the y-axis. So what's the slope now?
Y equals mx minus 2.
No, I said what's the slope?
2/3.
The slope is 2 over 3. So our formula is y equals I see confused faces, so I'm gonna show you how I count the slope, okay? You, look, identify y-intercept. Did you get that far, Charlotte, -2?
Yeah.
Good. Then you use, look at step 2. From your y-intercept, count your rise over your run. Look, we have a positive slope, so we don't have to deal with any negatives. Isn't that good? And then I just go 1, 2. That's my numerator, my rise. And I go 1, 2, 3. That's my run. So it's a positive 2 over 3. Okay, I have one more example. This one is going to look extra challenging. Do not freak out. I will explain it to you, and you'll have it on video. Okay? I don't need talking. I don't need comments. I promise I will call on you if I see your hand, okay?
Stop.
This is just, okay, let me explain why this might look hard to some people. I'm glad you guys don't think it's hard. But listen, the first example we had, they gave you the equation with your y-intercept and with your slope, and they said, draw the line. The second example that we just did, they give you the line, and they said, write the equation. This example is saying, here are 2 points on the line.
Write the equation.
Oh, that's not
Yeah, it's not that.
Here are 2 points on the line. Here's how I do not want you to solve it, and I'll explain why. I don't want you to solve it by graphing this and then solving it the way that we just did. Because even though that would totally work for this, you're going to get questions on your homework and questions on your practice test and test where you're going to have fractions or decimals that you cannot graph. So we have to be able to solve this mathematically, not just by drawing. And I promise it's not as hard as it looks. When you are given 2 points, you still can write the equation. It's just going to take a few steps.
Oh, I know.
The first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the slope. We talked about this a little bit. I know it was a little rushed yesterday, but we did talk about it. It was in the part 1 of the video that I posted yesterday. We talked about slope formula, right? Slope formula, m equals, what is it? y2
What is
minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Remember, slope is just the rise over the run. But if we're only given 2 points and we don't see them, so we can't count them, we can actually just find the difference of the y values over the difference of the x values. It's basically how the y is changing and how the x is changing. It's the same thing as counting, except we're counting it by using our numbers, okay? And this is the standard formula to find your slope when you're given 2 points. So the first thing we're gonna do is plug in our points. And I like to label them. I'm gonna call this point 1. I'm gonna call this one point 2. And then I like to do x and y and x and y, even though it seems kind of silly, it just keeps things really organized for when I want to write this over and actually fill in my values. So, what's my first value here?
4.
4, very good.
Minus -4.
Minus, what?
I mean -2, sorry.
Minus -2. What should I use that's very important here?
It's plus.
No. What should I use?
Parentheses.
Thank you, parentheses, to protect my negative sign. Okay, and then down here, I know what happens next, but I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, okay? We use parentheses to show that these are 2 different minus signs, right? Okay, and underneath I have my x2, what's that? 3 minus, in parentheses, -1. Now, what do I say about subtracting integers? Kill the? Have I not done that in this class yet?
No.
Kill the cockroach, change the sign. Kill the cockroach, change the sign. Why do I do that? Why do I do that? Because my 6th grade teacher taught it to me, and a million years later, I haven't forgotten it. So when you're old like me, you're gonna be teaching your students or your kids, whoever you're trying to help with their math, and you're gonna say you gotta kill that cockroach and change that sign. So you don't actually need a calculator to do your positives and negatives. 4 plus 2 is 6, 3 plus 1 is 4. Now this can be reduced, so we always reduce the slope if we can. Grayson and Vincent, what is 6 over 4 reduced?
3 over 2.
3 over 2, good. Vincent had his moment, very good. So we have 3 over 2 is our slope. Now here's the tricky part. I'm not done and I only have a few minutes. I'm gonna write my y equals mx plus b because I'm excited that I can at least fill in my slope, and I'm excited that my slope is positive. Okay, so I have y equals 3 over 2 x something. I still have my plus b. Shoot. I have 3 variables in this equation. I can't solve for b because I have 3 variables. I can't solve if there are 3 variables. I want to find out my y-intercept, but it's not drawn out for me. I'm not going to draw it. I have my slope, but I can't count it if I don't know where a point is. If there was only a way I could fill in values for my x and my y. Listen!
Substitution?
What would you like to substitute them with? Yes.
3.
Oh, we can't just make up numbers. No.
Isn't it 1? 0.
Yes. Yes. Didn't we say earlier that x and y always represent any coordinate pair on the line?
Oh yeah.
Right? Whatever the line is, you've got endless numbers of coordinate pairs. But how do I know what a coordinate pair for this line is? It tells you. That's like the given information. So you know how in the beginning it's like not giving us a lot of info, but we can still use what they give us. Which one should we use? Does it matter? No, because x and y are represented by any coordinate point on the line, not on the grid. We can't just take any point. It has to be on that line, right? So, which one do we want to use? Do we want to use point 1 or point 2? Since we can. Why?
Because it's a
Because
positive.
it's positive, and then it can be easy. So let's sub them in, right? Like just like Vincent said, substitution. So we're going to substitute y for what? 4, because y is 4. And then we're going to say that equals 3 over 2 times x, and x is 3. I'm going to write it as 3 over 1, so when I multiply it together, I can multiply my nums and then my denoms. And then I have plus b.
Why is x 3?
X, because, okay, I'm going to say it again. Shh, everybody pay attention. And if anybody packs up before I say you can pack up, you're staying 5 minutes after the bell with no tardy pass, okay? I'm scared because I care. I want to get this done. Now listen. Remember, Brianna, what we just said about x and y? They always represent any coordinate pair on the line. So if they give you coordinate pairs on the line, you can use either one of them and plug them in. We can use them to isolate, or not isolate, but we can use them to fill in all of the gaps so that we can solve for the missing number, which is our y-intercept. So all I did was I took my 4, which is my y. I took my 3 and I put it over 1 because we have to multiply times a fraction. Now this is going to get ugly because I know how you guys think fractions are so ugly, okay? They don't mind, they don't have feelings. 3 times 3 is 9, 2 times 1 is 2. So now I have 4 equals 9 over 2 plus b. Be very careful when you answer this question. What do we do next? And if anybody says the word reciprocal, I'm going to cry.
Reciprocal.
Yes. Yes, you subtract. In my last class, people were like, the reciprocal. I'm like, guys, just because it's a fraction doesn't mean we need to use the reciprocal. When do we use the reciprocal? Yes, when something's being multiplied by the fraction. So we would divide by the fraction and then use the reciprocal to multiply, right? So here we're just going to subtract 9/2. Are you with me?
No. This doesn't make sense.
Okay, pause for a second. Do you understand how I got 3 times 3 is 9 and 2 times 1 is 2? Because 3/2 is our slope, our x value, and one of the points was 3.
Oh, yes, I understand the time lapse.
Good.
I like it.
Now, 9/2 is a fraction. Fractions are numbers. We don't like them because they make doing things harder, but we have to treat them as numbers. If this just said 9, you would have no problem subtracting 9 from both sides, right? But it's 9/2, so we have to subtract 9/2. If 9/2 is subtracted from 9/2, it cancels out and you get 0. Now, we have to do the same thing to the other side. This is where Brianna's not gonna like this. Minus 9/2, ew, so ugly, I have a whole number, minus a fraction, I hate it, I have to get common denoms. So I'm gonna change my 4, well, I'll put it over 1, 4/1, and then what do I change my fractions to? I'm gonna keep my 9/2, and what would I change 4/1 to? Yeah. 8/2, very good, because if I do common denoms, that's 2, 1 times 2 is 2, 4 times 2 is 8. Now when I subtract them, 8/2 minus 9/2 is what?
Negative.
Negative?
1/1.
What? Negative?
1/2.
Yes, negative 1/2. So our y-intercept, b, equals negative 1/2. Now I'm gonna go back up. I'm gonna substitute here. Y equals 3/2, our slope, times x, minus 1/2. That's our y-intercept, that's our slope, that is our slope-intercept form using 2 points of a line. Complicated? Yes, but it's okay. We'll review it tomorrow before we try a problem. You guys can pack up. Lily, if you could, yes.